Hi everyone. I just wanted to try to make a video here. First I would like to ask if you would please lift my mother-in-law up in prayer. She was admitted in the hospital today with pneumonia and is in need of our prayers. And I thank you so much for that. Right now I want to get started in where we're at here in Psalm 18. Now we were in verse 6 where we were talking about the cries that the Lord heard. And after that, the verses start showing us God's response to this distress, this cry of distress. And in verse 7 we saw how the earth shook and the foundations of the hills were moved and were shaken because of his anger. In verse 8, we see the smoke and the fire, and how coals were kindled by it. And we see that this seems to be fitting in line. All this seems to be fitting in line with what we see in the book of Revelation. We had previously discussed verse 9, where it says, He bowed the heavens and came down. And I had stopped there because there's something I need to explain now. Bowed, as we discussed previously, can also mean parted or opened. So he parted the heavens and came down and descended. Okay, and if you recall, when I had the vision of the word trump, and the Lord led me to two scriptures, one of them being Thessalonians 4:16, we see that verse says that the Lord descended. So this is the Lord descending. I do believe the whole purpose of the vision for the word trump, the understanding of those two scriptures, and that's the only two scriptures in the Bible that has the word trump. And both of them speak of what we most commonly refer to as the rapture, the catching away. I don't really see it in those terms anymore, but that's what most people are used to, so that's what I'll probably call it. But here we see he came down and darkness was under his feet. And what the Lord has shown me is, okay, let's look at this word darkness. We know that the darkness represents evil. In my studies a few months ago, we seen how there was going to be this darkness, both physically and spiritually, that would come across the earth. And I'm sure we can all agree that this darkness is, especially spiritually, is all about everything that's evil, because the pit's opened, and evil like we can't even imagine has been released. And so this darkness is all the evil, the enemy of the Lord, okay? And it says here the darkness was under his feet. And we see many scriptures that make reference to his enemies being under his feet. And having said that, I want to turn to Hebrews 10:13. And in Hebrews 10:13, it says, I'm going to start with verse 12. It's talking about Christ here. But this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins forever, sat down on the right hand of God, from henceforth expecting till his enemies be made his footstool. Okay, so in these verses here, we see that Jesus has sat down at the right hand of God until his enemies be made his footstool. And the Lord has shown me how that's what's being spoken of here. He parted the heavens also and descended, and his enemies were under his feet. His enemies were his footstool. And that's what the Lord has shown me. It was really amazing when he showed me that. It was one of those wow moments, but I won't get into all that with you. But anyway, take a little time and do a little Bible study about that. It's quite interesting. But there's a lot of things I can't go into deep detail or we're never going to get finished. I'm trying to get the main thoughts across. But anyway, we see here in this verse that this is the time when Jesus stands up and comes down, and the darkness is under his feet. So his enemies are under his feet. His enemies are his footstool. And we see that spoken of here in this verse. So God is showing us a timing on things. No, we're not going to know the day or hour. I do feel that if the Lord wanted to tell someone the day or the hour, there's nothing stopping him from doing it. No man knoweth the day or hour. I think sometimes we get certain expectations of what something means embedded in our mind, and we don't leave it open for God's understanding to clearly come through, because not all things are what they seem. Scriptures can have so many different meanings, and I'm just saying that we need to have an open mind when we read the scriptures and let God guide us and not our own interpretations. Sorry, I got off on that, a little off track. I apologize. But anyway, we see here that his enemies are under his feet. This is the timing of when Christ stands up from his seat at the right hand of God. And the Lord, back to what I was saying, the Lord is showing us through this, there's a timing in the order of events that have been set in place. Events that have been set in place since the foundation of the earth. And this timing, God has given us timing here so we can have a little bit better picture. And I do believe that the picture is going to become clearer and clearer the closer we get. Because see, in the upper part of this verse, we've seen how the Lord took us to, in Revelation, the first 4 seals being opened, by us following what we see here in 4 and 5. Death was followed by hell, and we saw Matthew and how it tied in with Revelation and what the Lord had described, what Jesus had described to his disciples as signs to watch for. So here we see the timing of the seals. And now we're seeing the timing of what's going on here is when Jesus gets up from his place at the right hand of God. And he's letting us know that by this here, darkness was under his feet. Okay, and I'm going to touch on this next verse, but there's a lot to get into here that I think is going to be important to look a little bit deeper. But I'm just going to touch right here, and it says, and he rode upon a cherub. And everything that I looked up concerning cherubs and looking at how it's used in the Bible. And what the Lord has led me to is how it's used here represents His presence. Okay? So that's what we're going to get into on the next video. We may get into a little bit of something else, but there's a lot to be shared with this right here. And I want to make sure I cover it the way that it deserves to be covered. And I hope that you've enjoyed this. I know I really enjoy it when the Lord gives me something that's a wow moment. And when He showed me this darkness was under His feet and what He was meaning by that, it was quite a blessing. I'm going to go. I hope y'all have a blessed day. I love you. Bye-bye.